Ever scroll through your social media and think, wait, when did we all get so grown up?
Hmm.
You see old friends off on amazing adventures, and it makes you wonder, like, when did your paths diverge? Today, we're diving deep into something I think a lot of us experience, but we rarely talk about growing apart from friends.
Yeah, it's so common. And it can be really confusing. Like you've somehow failed a friendship exam no one told you about?
Right, like we're told to cherish our friends, which of course we should. But no one really prepares you for the fact that sometimes, despite your best intentions, life pulls you in different directions.
Exactly. And it's not about failing at all. It's simply a natural part of life's evolution.
Mhm.
You change jobs, maybe relocate, discover new passions.
Mhm.
It's inevitable that these shifts will impact your relationships.
Mhm.
And that includes friendships.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that firsthand. Remember those friends you were practically inseparable with in college? All-night study sessions, sharing dreams over cheap pizza? Those were the days. Then graduation hits, everyone's chasing different goals. And suddenly catching up feels like a chore instead of something you genuinely crave.
You've just described friendship drift, a term that perfectly captures that gradual but very real shift in connection. And it happens so often there's even research on it. Studies have shown that as we navigate major life transitions, our social circles naturally contract and expand.
That makes total sense. It's like we're constantly outgrowing and evolving, and sometimes our friendships need to evolve alongside us.
Precisely. It's not that the friendships weren't genuine or meaningful. It's just that as we change, our needs and priorities change, and sometimes those changes lead us down different paths.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense logically. But emotionally? Emotionally, it can still sting, right? Like when you see those photos of your old crew having a blast and it feels like you're on the outside looking in.
Absolutely. And that's where those feelings of sadness or even guilt can creep in. We start questioning ourselves. Did I do something wrong? Did I not try hard enough?
Oh, the guilt trip is
Yeah.
real. It's so easy to fall into that trap of thinking we're somehow to blame for the friendship fading, especially in the age of social media where everyone's seemingly perfect lives are on full display 24/7.
You're hitting on something really important here, the impact of social media on our perception of friendships. It's a highlight reel, not the behind-the-scenes reality. Just because someone's Instagram feed looks like a nonstop party doesn't mean they aren't experiencing their own share of friendship growing pains.
That's such a good point. We often compare our messy, imperfect realities to these curated snapshots of everyone else's best lives, and it's a recipe for feeling inadequate.
Exactly. And it's why it's so important to be kind to ourselves during those moments. It's okay to acknowledge the sadness or even the guilt that can bubble up, but let's not let those emotions spiral into self-blame or a distorted view of our own worth.
Easier said than done, right? But seriously, how do we actually do that? How do we navigate these feelings of loss and uncertainty without spiraling into a shame spiral of friendship failures?
Well, the first step is probably the hardest, but it's crucial for moving forward in a healthy way.
Okay, I'm ready for it. What's the hard truth? What's that magic bullet for dealing with these friendship growing pains?
You know, it's not exactly a magic bullet. It's more like a shift in perspective. You have to accept that it's okay for friendships to change.
Okay. Intellectually, I get that. But emotionally, it's like I feel like I'm somehow disrespecting the friendship if I don't cling to it for dear life.
Yeah, I hear you. It is tough to let go. But think about it this way. Holding on to a friendship that's no longer serving either of you can actually be more damaging in the long run. It's like trying to cram your feet into a pair of shoes that you've outgrown. They might hold sentimental value, but they're definitely not comfortable or practical for the journey you're on now.
Okay. That analogy makes perfect sense. And just like those outgrown shoes, you wouldn't just toss them in the trash without appreciating the memories, right? So how do we apply that same concept to friendships? How do we honor those relationships that have run their course without getting stuck in the past?
That's where gratitude comes in. Instead of dwelling on the loss, try shifting your focus to the positive impact that friend had on your life. Think
Okay.
about the laughter, the inside jokes, the lessons you learned. Those are the things that you carry with you, even as the friendship itself evolves.
I love that. It's like acknowledging that a chapter has closed, but it doesn't erase the entire story. What about those situations where it's not so much a gradual drift, but more of a conscious decision to step back?
Yeah.
What about those friendships that have become unhealthy or maybe even toxic?
Yeah, those situations require a whole different level of self-awareness and honestly courage. It's like recognizing that sometimes you need to create distance to protect your own well-being.
It's like the difference between a friendship naturally changing and realizing you need to make a clean break for your own sanity.
Precisely. And just like romantic breakups, these friendship breakups can be incredibly painful and messy. They often involve questioning long-held beliefs about loyalty, trust, and what it means to be a good friend.
And those breakups are rarely talked about, which can make them even harder to navigate because it's like there's this unspoken rule that you're not supposed to break up with a friend.
Right. There's often a stigma attached to ending friendships, even if they're no longer serving us. But it's crucial to remember that setting boundaries in any relationship, even a friendship, is not selfish. It's an act of self-respect.
So how do you actually do that? How do you set those boundaries without burning bridges or feeling like you're abandoning someone you once cared about?
It requires open and honest communication, even when it's uncomfortable. You have to be willing to express your needs. And if necessary, create some distance to protect your own well-being.
That takes guts, especially when you're talking about friendships that have spanned years or even decades.
It does. But remember, you deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift and support you. If a friendship is consistently bringing more negativity than positivity into your life, then it might be time to reevaluate its place in your life.
That's so true. You hit the nail on the head with that whole deserving to be surrounded by people who uplift you thing. But it's easier said than done, right? Like, how do you actually do that? How do you walk away from a friendship without feeling like you've totally failed?
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, especially when you're dealing with a long-standing friendship where there's history and shared memories. But sometimes creating that distance, even if it's just temporary, is essential for your own growth and well-being. It's like hitting the pause button to figure out what you need and what's best for you in that moment.
Okay, so you've hit pause, you've had some time to reflect, but that doesn't erase the hurt and confusion, right? Like, ending a friendship, even if it's for all the right reasons, can feel like a gut punch.
You're absolutely right. It's a loss, and it deserves to be grieved just like any other significant relationship. But here's the interesting thing. Society often doesn't give us permission to mourn the loss of friendships the same way we mourn the end of romantic relationships. We're expected to just get over it or quickly move on to new friends.
It's like there's this weird unspoken rule that friendships are somehow less than romantic relationships, so our feelings about them shouldn't be as intense or as valid.
Exactly. And that's simply not true. Friendships can be incredibly formative, shaping who we are and how we move through the world. They deserve the same level of care and attention, even when they're ending.
So how do we actually do that? How do we give ourselves permission to grieve and heal without minimizing the significance of those friendships?
Start by acknowledging the loss. Don't try to sweep your feelings under the rug. Allow yourself to feel the sadness, the anger, the confusion, whatever comes up. It's all part of the healing process.
It's like we're giving ourselves permission to be human, to acknowledge that even though this friendship has run its course, it's still held meaning and significance for us.
Exactly. And as you move through that process of grieving, you'll start to notice a shift. Your perspective will broaden, and you begin to see the situation with more clarity and understanding.
You know, it's interesting. We've talked a lot about the challenges of growing apart from friends. But there's this whole other side to this conversation, isn't there? Like, what happens when those chapters close and new ones begin?
That's where things get really exciting. When we let go of the friendships that are no longer serving us, it creates space for new, more aligned connections to enter our lives. It's like clearing out the clutter in your life to make room for something fresh and inspiring.
So instead of viewing these shifts as endings, we can actually reframe them as opportunities for growth and new beginnings. It's like that saying, when one door closes, another one opens.
I love that analogy because it's so true. Letting go of a friendship, even if it's painful, can pave the way for something even more fulfilling and authentic.
But finding those new connections can feel daunting, especially if you're not exactly the life of the party type. What advice would you give to those who are feeling a bit hesitant to put themselves out there?
Start by thinking about what truly brings you joy. What are you passionate about? What activities make you feel energized and alive? Seek out communities and spaces where you can connect with like-minded people.
That makes sense. Surround yourself with people who share your interests and your values. And it doesn't have to be this big, intimidating thing, right? It could be as simple as joining a book club or volunteering at a local animal shelter.
Exactly. It's about taking small steps outside of your comfort zone and being open to meeting new people. You never know where those connections might lead.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from the natural ebb and flow of friendships to the challenges of setting boundaries to the excitement of new beginnings. As we wrap up, is there one key takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with?
If there's one thing I hope listeners remember, it's this. Cherish the friendships you have, acknowledge the changes that come with life, and never be afraid to open your heart to new connections.
Beautifully said. Friendships are a gift, even the ones that have a natural expiration date. So let's celebrate the memories, learn from the challenges, and welcome the new adventures that await with open arms. Until next time, keep diving deep into those incredible connections that make life so rich and rewarding.